My tray was in my hands, but the woman at the counter looked at me strangely. People behind me were waiting, and my coffee was getting cold. I thought I understood her simple words, but a minute later I realized I did not. My name is Mila, and I came from Vienna, Austria, for a short trip to Edinburgh. I wanted my first small solo adventure, but speaking English still made me nervous, especially when people spoke fast. I stood there holding my tray and trying to decide what to do, because the woman had smiled and said only 3 words, "You're good." So I stayed where I was, and that was my first mistake. But I did not know it yet. I had wanted this trip for many months. My life in Vienna felt safe, but also very small. I worked in a dental office near the center of the city. Most days were quiet and predictable. I answered calls, printed papers, and spoke German all day. English only appeared in small moments. A tourist asking for directions, a message online, or a movie with subtitles. I understood basic English, but real conversations, they were different. They were scary. Native speakers spoke quickly, they used short phrases. Sometimes the words were easy, but the meaning felt hidden. When that happened, I usually smiled and nodded. Even when I was not sure, I knew that was not a good habit. Still, I did it often. This trip mattered because I wanted to stop doing that. I was 29 years old and I had already canceled 2 solo trips before, one to Dublin, one to Copenhagen. Both times I said the same thing, maybe next year. But the real reason was simple. I was afraid of being alone with my English. So in February, after a long gray winter week, I finally booked 3 days in Edinburgh. Old streets, stone buildings, cold wind, and a chance to prove something to myself. If I could travel alone, maybe I was stronger than I thought. At least that was the plan. But plans are easy when nothing goes wrong. My second day in the city was beautiful. The morning was cold but clear. I walked along the Royal Mile and watched street musicians play near the old buildings. I visited a small bookstore and bought a notebook for my sister. For lunch, I ordered soup in a tiny cafe, in English. The waiter understood me the first time. That small moment made me strangely proud. By late afternoon, my legs felt tired and the wind felt colder. My train to the airport left from Waverley Station at 5:40. My flight home was later that evening. I checked the time. 4:45. Still enough time for a warm coffee before the train. So I walked into a busy coffee shop inside the station. The room felt warm and loud. Cups touched plates. The coffee machine hissed. People spoke in many languages. Some travelers looked relaxed, others looked tired and rushed. I joined the line and repeated my order in my head. Small latte, cheese sandwich, eat here. When it was my turn, the woman behind the counter smiled and listened carefully. I spoke slowly. "Small latte and cheese sandwich, please." She asked one question I did not fully catch. "Sorry?" I said. "For here or takeaway?" "For here, please." She nodded and took my card. Everything felt easy. For a moment, I relaxed. Then the young man beside her called my name. "Mila." He handed me a tray with the coffee and sandwich. I looked around for a table. Every table was full. People sat with coats and backpacks on the chairs. Some stood near the walls drinking coffee quickly. I felt uncertain, so I asked the young man, "Sorry, where can I sit?" He looked at the crowded room. Then he smiled quickly and said, "You're good." That was all. 3 simple words. Then he turned to the next order. I stayed there holding my tray. Did he mean I could stay here? Did he mean a table would open soon? Did he mean I did not need to worry? I did not want to ask again. There were people behind me waiting, so I stayed in the same place. Something felt slightly wrong, but I ignored that feeling. And that was the moment everything started. After a few seconds, a man behind me spoke. "Sorry, are you waiting?" I turned to him. "Yes, I think so." He pointed toward the counter. "This area is for collecting orders." My face became hot. "Oh, sorry." I moved away quickly with my tray. The man was polite, but I still felt embarrassed. Now I stood near the wall beside the sugar station. Still no tables. I took a small sip of my coffee. It was already cooling. Then I saw a table near the window become free. A cleaning woman walked over with a cloth and spray bottle. She wiped the table and looked at me. Then she smiled and said something. "You're good." Again. Then she walked away. I stared at the table. Did she mean I could sit there now? Or did she mean the table was clean? Or did she mean something else completely? I looked around. Nobody moved toward the table, so I walked over and sat down. For a moment, I felt relief. Finally, a place to rest. I took off my gloves and opened the sandwich bag. Then a woman with gray hair stopped beside the table. She looked at me and then at the empty chair across from me. "Sorry," she said. "Were you using this table?" I blinked. "This table?" She nodded. "I was sitting here. I just went to the restroom." My stomach dropped. "Oh, I'm sorry." I looked down and finally saw it. A blue scarf hung on the back of the other chair. I had not noticed it before. "I didn't see," I said quickly. The woman sighed softly. "Is all right," she said. "You can stay. I'm leaving now." She walked away before I could say more. I thanked her twice, but she was already gone. Now I felt even worse. The coffee tasted bitter. My sandwich sat untouched on the tray. I checked the clock. 5:05. The train was leaving soon, and suddenly I noticed something else. My backpack was missing. For a moment, my mind went completely blank. Then panic arrived all at once. My small black backpack was not beside the chair. I looked under the table. Nothing. I checked the floor near the wall. Nothing. Then I remembered. When I first stood near the order counter, I needed both hands for the tray, so I placed the backpack on the floor beside the collection area, just for a moment. Then the man told me to move, and I moved too quickly. I left the backpack there. My passport was inside, my wallet, my train ticket, everything. My chest felt tight. I rushed back to the counter. "Sorry," I said to the young man. "My backpack, black. I left it here before." He looked around. "I didn't see one." "Please check," I said. "My passport is inside." Now he looked concerned. He checked under the counter and behind the shelf. Nothing. "Maybe someone took it to station security," he said. My heart beat harder. "Where?" He pointed toward the hall. "Information desk downstairs." I looked at the clock. 5:12 p.m. Only 28 minutes left. My train left in 28 minutes. I ran out of the coffee shop. The station felt louder than before. Suitcases rolled across the floor. People moved quickly in every direction. I found the information desk and joined the short line. Even 2 people in front of me felt like too many. I imagined the worst, missing my flight, calling my family from the airport, explaining everything in broken English because I misunderstood 3 simple words. Finally, it was my turn. A woman with silver glasses looked at me. "How can I help?" "My backpack is lost," I said quickly. "Black backpack, passport inside." She listened carefully. "When did you last see it?" "In the coffee shop upstairs, 10 minutes ago." She picked up a phone and spoke quietly. My hands shook while I waited. Then she covered the phone and said something that changed everything. "A bag was brought to station security." I almost cried. "Black backpack?" "You'll need to confirm it with them," she said. She pointed down a corridor. "Blue door at the end." I thanked her and ran again. At the blue door, A security officer sat behind a desk. I stepped forward. "Please," I said. "I think you have my backpack." He looked up calmly. "Name?" "Mila Hartman." He nodded. "Can you describe the bag?" Black backpack, silver zipper, red key ring. He stood and walked into the back room. A few seconds later, he returned. The backpack was in his hand. Relief rushed through my body so fast I almost laughed. "Yes," I said, "that's mine." But he held the bag on the desk. "We need to confirm your details first." I nodded. "Yes, of course." He asked for my full name. "Mila Hartman," I said. "Mila Hartmann." He wrote it down. Then he asked for my email. I spelled it slowly. He repeated one letter wrong. "Sorry," I said. "Not E-A." He corrected it. Then he checked my passport inside the bag. Finally, he pushed the backpack toward me. "All right," he said. "You're good." This time, I understood. Completely. I laughed softly and covered my face for a moment. "Thank you," I said. "Really, thank you." He looked at the clock. "What time is your train?" 5:40. "You still have time," he said. "Platform will be announced now." I walked back to the main hall with the backpack tight on my shoulders. My breathing slowly returned to normal. The board showed my train on platform 3. I walked there quickly but calmly. No running this time. When the train arrived, I stepped inside and found a seat near the window. Then I sat down and finally breathed deeply. My shoulders relaxed, my hands stopped shaking. I opened the backpack and checked everything again. Passport, wallet, ticket, all there. Then I noticed something small. My cheese sandwich was inside the bag. During the panic, I must have placed it there without thinking. It was a little flat now. I looked at it and laughed quietly. After all that stress, the sandwich survived the journey. Outside the window, Edinburgh slowly moved away. The stone buildings looked gray in the evening light. My English was still imperfect. I was still the woman who misunderstood simple phrases. But I was also the woman who asked for help, who said, "Please repeat," who explained the problem instead of running away. That felt like progress. Not perfect, but real. Have you ever misunderstood a simple English phrase like this? Did you know "you're good" had so many meanings? Tell me in the comments. If you enjoy stories like mine, you can subscribe here. Maybe we can keep learning and traveling together.